Okay, so the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 versus the Mi Pad 5 Pro. Quite a few of you have asked that I make this video, so let's go ahead and jump in. All right, let's go ahead and talk design, starting off with the Mi Pad 5 Pro. It's actually a pretty sleek looking tablet, right? It's a pro tablet, it feels pro, it looks pro, it has that premium feel and also a little bit of weight to it, but it's still very portable. And that look is pretty familiar simply because it mimics that of the iPad Air. So the power button that combos with the fingerprint sensor, you get 4 speaker grills, but it actually has a total of 8 speakers and they are loud and the sound is actually pretty full and pretty crisp at the same time. No headphone jack. Unfortunately, you get no micro SD card here. There are some pins for the official keyboard for it, and it also supports a stylus. Now the Galaxy Tab S7 pretty much follows that same rectangular shape, pretty smooth finish on the back with like that very polished metallic rim around the flat sides. Same deal as the Mi Pad 5 Pro here, right? So you have a combo of a power button with the fingerprint system. So you would use that button to turn it on or off, and you can also use that to unlock the tablet. One thing that it does have, the Mi Pad 5 Pro does not have, is the fact that you can push out video signal. So on the Mi Pad 5 Pro, you cannot push out video signal, but on the Galaxy Tab S7, you can push out video signal, meaning pushing out your content to an external monitor and be able to push up your productivity. You also do have a micro SD card slot on this one, unlike it was the case on the Mi Pad 5 Pro. So there is that ability to expand that internal storage using a micro SD card. Quad speaker setup on here, also tuned by AKG. The sound quality is top notch on here. And I would say it sounds pretty close to the same level in terms of volume to what is offered on the Mi Pad 5 Pro, but on the other hand, the sound just seems a little bit more crisp on here if you really pay attention. Now let's talk camera. The Wi-Fi model of the Xiaomi main camera is boasting a 13 megapixel main sensor along with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. And this camera can do up to 4K at 30 frames per second. The front camera, the selfie camera on the Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro, is an 8 megapixel camera. Quality is okay on that front one. The back one is not bad either. The Galaxy Tab S7 also does have an 8 megapixel front facing camera that can do 1080 at 30 frames per second. On the Tab S7, just like it is the case with the Mi Pad 5 Pro, you will find a 13 and a 5 megapixel sensors on that main camera module. Now, when it comes down to picture quality, in my opinion, the Galaxy Tab S7 pushes slightly better pictures simply because colors are a little bit more pronounced when compared to what you would find on the Mi Pad 5 Pro. Now, don't get me wrong, the Mi Pad 5 Pro actually does take some pretty awesome pictures, but I personally prefer the ones coming from the Tab S7 because, like I mentioned, a little bit more saturation and a little bit more color, and that gets them to pop more. Now, let's go ahead and talk about specs and performance here. The Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro here is boasting a pretty powerful platform here, right? So what we have here is a Snapdragon 870, right, which is a pretty powerful chipset, right, versus the 865 plus that you found on Tab S7. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So 870 along with 6 gigs of RAM. So when it comes down to performance, pretty good stuff. You have the opportunity to move on to the next tier and keeping the same amount of RAM. So going 6 gigs of RAM with 256 gigs of internal storage, or move up the RAM size going to 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of internal storage. Now, as I mentioned, the Galaxy Tab S7 is boasting a pretty powerful platform as well with that Snapdragon 865 plus, which, as you can see, the Snapdragon 870 is clocked a tiny bit higher than this one, which is also coupled with 6 gigs of RAM. But this time around, as soon as you move on to the next tier, you get bumped up to that 8 gigs of RAM. So 8 gigs of RAM with 256 gigs of internal storage, which, by the way, is also expandable. I believe I mentioned that, but anyway, you can expand that internal storage using a micro SD card. And by the way, if this is your first time visiting, well, welcome to the channel. Of course, if you do like the content so far, I certainly appreciate that. Please do me a favor, hit both the like and the subscribe button. There's a tremendous boost to the channel here, and again, I truly appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about performance this time. When it comes down to performance, as I mentioned, these two are really killing it. You know, performance, very snappy. Either one of these tablets just kind of fly through all types of tasks, you know, light, medium, heavy, whatever the case may be, whatever you throw at it, it really just chew through them. They both can handle multitasking with no issues, no crashes, no lags, no stutter really. The Mi Pad 5 Pro is running the MIUI, right? MIUI 12.5.2, I believe, which is pretty fluid. It was pretty well implemented, and I'm saying well implemented because I always feel like it was taken away or it was copied off of, you know, iPad OS because it mimics it just so well, right? Except it's Android. But anyway, so it was well implemented. It's pretty fluid, no lags, you know, pretty smooth when you go through your apps or when you're just navigating it. So no issues there as long as you get used to that UI. On the other hand, the Galaxy Tab S7 is running Samsung One UI 3.1.1 is the version that I'm running on my Tab S7. That also, of course, it's very well established, very fluid. I do find the way it's built to be very intuitive with, you know, just the shortcuts, the way you access, you know, things. They really made ease of access to be a priority here. And the last thing I want to mention here, of course, is gaming. Gaming is great on here. You can play heavy, medium, light games, all types of games on either one of these tablets without any issue. So if you were to buy either one of them just for gaming, you will be just fine. Now, the very last part of performance that I want to highlight here is just accessibility in terms of productivity. Now, these two tablets are very, very powerful, and in terms of performance, as I mentioned, they are really top level, you know, for Android tablets. But when it comes down to productivity, the Galaxy Tab S7 is definitely gonna be superior because of two main things, right? The first one would be, if you've been watching the channel for a while, then you probably know that this one is coming. The first one is going to be software related, and this is Samsung DeX, and the second part of it is I can't talk today. It's going to be hardware related, and that's going to be just that through that USB port, the USB Type-C port that the Tab S7 has, which has the ability to push out, you know, content. It can push out video signal, meaning it allows you to be able to take your productivity to another level. Remember, there are people who are more productive, like myself. I am more productive if I'm working on multiple screens, right? If I have one here that handles, you know, that I'm using for my email, this one would be my main screen, and the next one would be for something else. So that ability to push out your content from your main device to an external monitor generally would bump up. You will see a bump in your productivity. Now, the Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro unfortunately does not have the ability to push out video signal. Not only that, it doesn't have a feature that can match what Samsung DeX offers. No other tablets out there does, right? So Samsung has managed to really, maybe not perfect, they've improved Samsung DeX so much over the years that the closest competition is not even Xiaomi. You know, on the Mi UI, you do get the opportunity to download this app, the PC app, and it kind of acts a little bit like a mini desktop, but you know, it's still limited in terms of what it can do, and performance every now and then is an issue. But anyway, so when it comes down to overall productivity, the Galaxy Tab S7 is going to offer you an experience that is far superior to what you would get from the Mi Pad 5 Pro. All right, so let's go ahead and talk styluses now, and I want to start up with the Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro here. Now, it does support an actual dedicated Xiaomi pen, which I actually ordered. It just never got to me. But it works with both the regular and also the Mi Pad 5 Pro. You have to purchase that. You have to buy that one separately. It would run you roughly $83 plus tax, however much it's going to be. So $83 plus tax. And on the other hand, the Galaxy Tab S7 is going to come with a Samsung S Pen. And this S Pen is known to just be the best in terms of versatility, you know, productivity, and extra features when it comes down to styluses on these tablets. So I doubt that even though I haven't tested it out, but I've been on forums and watched other videos of people who have the actual Xiaomi pen, you know, and based off of what they say, it doesn't come close to what the Samsung S Pen has to offer on the Galaxy Tab S7. I'm going to have to test it out just to see where it stands, but I can tell you that the Tab S7, well, the S Pen that comes with the Tab S7, comboed with that 120 hertz and that low latency, is just, it offers a fantastic user experience. And since I just mentioned refresh rate, this should be a nice segue into displays. Now, the Mi Pad 5 Pro is pushing an IPS display, so 11 inches IPS display with the resolution of 2560 by 1600, and it also, just like the Galaxy Tab S7 does support high refresh rate at 120 hertz. So it's going to be interesting to see how well the Xiaomi pen plays with this. You know, I'm going to play, when I test it out, I'm going to test, you know, palm projection. And by the way, palm projection is really good on the Tab S7. And I'm also going to check out how the latency, you know, compares to what you get on the Galaxy Tab S7. User experience is pretty nice. You know, obviously it's pretty smooth with that 120 hertz refresh rate. Additionally, you have Dolby Vision and also HDR10 support. Although Netflix does seem to only play in standard def on my end here. But overall, nice quality, fairly sharp, and you can play with the colors and adjust them to your liking in the settings. The Galaxy Tab S7, like I mentioned not too long ago, is pushing a TFT display. Same thing as the Mi Pad 5 Pro, 1600 by 2560 for the resolution. The PPI is 274, so they actually have the same specs, but different type of LCD of screens, right? So you have IPS with the Mi Pad 5 Pro and you have TFT with the Tab S7. Now, when it comes down to color, just looking at them side by side, you won't really notice that much of a difference because Samsung did such a good job at properly calibrating the TFT found on the Galaxy Tab S7. But obviously, if you're a stickler for the type of screen, then you would appreciate the IPS found on the Mi Pad 5 Pro more because it is one level higher than the TFT display. But either way, as I mentioned, when I have them side by side, I'm having a hard time telling which one is, better than the other because image quality is very sharp on either one of these tablets. And also one thing to add here is the Tab S7 actually does support HDR10+. Unlike the Mi Pad 5 Pro. In terms of battery, the Mi Pad 5 Pro is boasting an 86 milliamp battery, so it's definitely an all-day battery. Additionally, it is fast charge at up to 67 watt. That is impressive. 67 watt fast charge capable, whereas the Galaxy Tab S7 is pushing an 8000 milliamp battery, so a slightly smaller, versus the 8600 that you would find on the Mi Pad 5 Pro, but that also is an all-day tablet. But this whole thing is going to depend on how you use your tablet, right? But either way, in either case, I found both of them to last me all day. Now, I do want to stop here and give you my take. As always, it will depend on what you want, what you're looking for on a tablet. The Xiaomi Mi Pad 5 Pro will give you a pro tablet with some pretty flagship specs at an affordable price. You will, however, be missing out on a few things on the Mi Pad 5 Pro, starting off with just the productivity level, right? So it's a very powerful tablet. You'll be able to be productive, but you won't be able to take that to the next level by extending that, the content on the main screen. So the inability to push out your productivity level. The next thing is the inability to expand that internal storage, right? So 128 or 256 gigs, whatever you decide to buy, that's what you'll be dealing with here. The next one here is going to be just the software update, right? So there is no guaranteed predetermined amount of software or major updates that you'll be getting on this tablet. Also, on the other hand, you have the Galaxy Tab S7, which also is a pretty powerful tablet. You will have the same flagship specs, a pretty robust mobile tech ecosystem, as I mentioned. But on the other hand, you will also be missing a couple of things here if you were to pick the Galaxy Tab S7. Like, for example, the price. The Mi Pad 5 Pro is selling for roughly $400, plus however much it's going to cost to ship it from China to your hometown. So the Galaxy Tab S7 is a little bit more expensive, obviously, and the next thing here is going to be just the display. IPS display. I know I mentioned, it's tough to be able to tell apart, to be able to tell which is better because they both, each of them is so well made, but it doesn't change the fact that on a Mi Pad 5 Pro, you have an IPS display, which is kind of a grade higher. So you want to make sure that you consider all of these things before making your decision when purchasing either one of these tablets. But either way, I certainly hope that this was informative. Of course, if you found this informative, please don't forget to like, comment. I'm going to catch you in the comment section. Make sure to share the video also if you know anyone who'd be interested. So I'm going to catch you in the comment section. I'm also going to catch you in the next video, of course, as always. Up until that next video, stay safe out there.